All right, Liberal Senator James McGrath, he's called out the Palaszczuk government's policies. He's basically saying they are destroying the economy. His views are shared by many. He joins me now, Liberal Senator James McGrath. What do you make of all this madness, James? I mean, there's an election coming up in Queensland in a few months. Most people just want to get back to work. They want the government to get out of the way. Get out of the way.
Everybody in Queensland wants to get on with it. They want to open their businesses. They want to employ people again. Everybody understands the impact of coronavirus. Everyone now understands social distancing. Everyone now understands wash your hands. We were all told from the Prime Minister down, it's all about flattening the curve. PM's done a brilliant job. He's left it up to premiers now to take their own roadmaps forward. Now, here in Queensland, the curve has been flattened. Everybody can see that. Coronavirus is not going to be wiped out until we find a vaccine. But what Palaszczuk, she's flip-flopping all over the place like a three-legged duck and can't make decisions. It's either July that the border's opening up again, now it's September. What message is that sending to tourism businesses here in Queensland? Now, when I go to Nambour, I stay in a motel there sometimes. The owner of the motel there is a guy called Kerry, and I was having a chat to him this morning, and Kerry was almost in tears because he's got no bookings from next week. This is what businesses are facing around Queensland, and Palaszczuk, who's like this modern Marie Antoinette telling us to eat cake from a high-rise in Brisbane, I don't think he's got any idea of what's going on out in the ground.
James, I have had the same sort of response. I'm getting phone calls every hour from people saying, what the bloody hell is going on? And I find it repulsive that some people are suggesting, like Mark McGowan, that Professor Paul Kelly, the Deputy Commonwealth Medical Officer, now if you have a look at his credentials, he's got a PhD, he's on 2 World Health organisation boards. I mean, the guy's got more initials after his name than Albert Einstein, and I can tell you now, he knows his stuff. I could use another word, but he knows his stuff. And you know, he's saying the border.
I've just lost you there, Glees, so sorry. If you can hear me, I'm happy to...
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you're back. He knows his stuff. Oh, good. He knows his stuff, and he has said there is no medical reason for the borders to be shut. And indeed, the National Cabinet from day one actually said, from the Prime Minister, said there is no reason for the borders to be shut. It is a decision of the premiers. And what we're seeing here in Queensland, everything must be looked through the prism of the upcoming state election, because that's all Palaszczuk cares about. Let's face it, the only reason Jackie Trad has been taken out and is locked in the outdoor dunny is because Labor know that she is a vote turn-off. That's the reason you've got Cameron Dick as Treasurer. Everything Labor are doing is all about the 31st of October. And you look at the health officer here in Queensland who said on the record that schools, the only reason schools were shut wasn't because of medical reasons, it was just to send a message. So we've got political messaging driving the state here. In the meantime, businesses from Cairns to Coolangatta are going bust. But people who are watching this program are going to go to sleep tonight, and the last thing they're going to be thinking about is how they pay their bills. And what does Palaszczuk do about that? You know, she just says basically, you can eat cake. Well, come off it, Premier.
Research by the Cairns Regional Council shows 7,700 jobs lost in Cairns alone this month, 30,000 on the Gold Coast this month. I mean, seriously, it's outrageous. You did mention Jackie Trad's name there. Now, she's come out today and had a crack at the Morrison government over its environmental policy, over its climate policy. I mean, this is the same woman that told miners to re-skill just before last year's May 18 election, and that played out very well for the LNP in seats like Flynn and Capricornia and Dawson and so on. Herbert.
This is really interesting what Jackie Trad said today for so many reasons. Just because Jackie Trad is no longer Treasurer doesn't mean that she is no longer the most powerful person in the Queensland government. She is the Queen behind the throne, on the throne. She is the grand poobah of Labor Party politics. Her faction control the Labor Party here in Queensland. And as a former treasurer, you thought her first speech in Parliament would have been about all the businesses going bust, all the people losing their jobs. Oh, no, no, no. It's all about the environment. Jackie Trad just isn't soft green. She is fluoro green. And her fluoro greenness goes through the DNA of the Labor Party here in Queensland. Because you know what? All they do care about is green preferences, and all Jackie Trad cares about is making sure she holds her seat at the next election, no matter what the cost to regional Queensland. So if you live outside of Brisbane, well, quite frankly, Jackie Trad doesn't care about you. It showed when she was Treasurer and now shows from the backbench.
James, you're a former State Secretary of the LNP, so I'm going to ask you your opinion on how October 31 might pan out based on what we're seeing over the last few weeks and months, particularly with the spike in Palaszczuk's approval rating off the back of handling the health implications of coronavirus very well. I'm not sure how this is going to play out, this latest business, but Trad, do you think Trad being out of Cabinet, basically out of the way, will help the LNP or hinder the LNP?
Oh, look, I think with Jackie, that she won't want to just hide in the shadows as much as Labor do want to keep her locked up in the outdoor dunny. She will want to be out there because she wants to protect and save her seat, and she wants to make sure that her social left faction keeps controlling the Labor Party. In terms of the LNP, in terms of her as an election asset, I think regardless of what title she holds, I think she does help the LNP, because when you look at Jackie Trad, you realise that is what the modern Labor Party is all about. It's all about green preferences and green policies. You know, it's not the Labor Party of old. And I actually do think we're going to win the next election here in Queensland because of what Deb Frecklington's doing with her plan, but also the candidates we've got out in the field, whether it's Linda Cooper up in Barron River, San Marino and Cairns, Janet Wishart and Mansfield. There's so many brilliant candidates. Fiona Gaskey just been pre-selected in Palmerston. So many brilliant candidates. Sorry for the ones I haven't mentioned who are out there fighting. And it's going to be a bit like the fall of Saigon. It is going to be, and I don't like saying that I'm on the side of Viet Cong, but this is going to be suburb to suburb, street to street, house to house, bedroom to bedroom fighting to get people's votes this coming election, because the Labor Party are a brutal election machine. But I also know the LNP, we're pretty good at winning elections too. Look at what happened with the Brisbane City Council election, and look what the team at headquarters did here in Queensland at the last federal election, getting 23 out of the 30 seats. So I think we can take on Labor, but also remember, Labor have got the unions, and we don't have the money of the unions. So, it is going to be a tough fight, but I think Deb and the team, I think the team at headquarters, and I think the candidates out in the field, it's a fight. We have to win this fight, because if we don't win this fight, I guarantee you, and I will bet money on this, that if we lose the election, Jackie Trad will be Premier by Easter.
Wow. Just quickly, we've got 20 seconds. Have you read Turnbull's book? What did you think of it?
I haven't read Turnbull's book, and I would encourage everybody not to read Turnbull's book. If you want a good book to read one of Boris Johnson's, read David Cameron's biography, or go for a walk in the fresh air and go for a swim. Don't waste your time.
Senator James McGrath, always great to see you.
Anytime. See you next time, mate.